The string quartet had just eased into the final measures of Pachelbel's canon when Ethan's phone buzzed a third time. He glanced at the screen, smile faltering for the first time that evening. I watched from the sweetheart table as his thumb hovered, then tapped to silence it. The notification bar was already filling, red circles multiplying like blood drops on snow. Beside him, Maya laughed at something her maid of honor said, oblivious, her veil still pinned perfectly, the diamond choker I'd given her catching every prism from the chandeliers. I kept my champagne flute raised, the pale gold liquid trembling only because my hand wanted to shake. I wouldn't let it. For minutes, I had told her. It took 3. Ethan excused himself with that practiced tilt of his head, bathroom, be right back, babe. And threaded through the crowd of aunts, cousins, and college friends who still called him the lucky guy. I saw his shoulders stiffen the moment he cleared the dance floor. He pulled the phone out again, stared, then swiped furiously. Another buzz. Another. His mother, seated at the family table nearest the bar, caught the change in his posture. Her wineglass paused halfway to her lips. Maya leaned into me, voice barely above a whisper. Mom, what did you do? I brushed a loose curl from her temple. I reminded the bank who actually owns the money. She swallowed. He's going to notice soon. He already has. Across the room Ethan's face had gone the color of old parchment. He stabbed at the screen again, probably trying the credit card he kept in the hidden pocket of his tuxedo jacket, the black Amex he'd bragged about during the rehearsal dinner. I knew what the screen would show, transaction declined. Insufficient funds. Or perhaps the Kinder version banks reserved for fraud alerts, contact issuer immediately. He tried again. Again. Each failed attempt carved another line into his forehead. His mother rose then, slowly, the way predators move when they scent blood instead of dinner. She crossed to him in 3 elegant strides, murmuring something close to his ear. He shook his head, showed her the phone. Her lips thinned to a seam. For the first time since I'd known her, Evelyn Whittaker looked genuinely surprised. Maya's fingers found mine under the tablecloth and squeezed so hard my knuckles cracked. They're looking over here. They were. Evelyn's gaze swept the room like radar until it locked on me. I met it without blinking. She tilted her head the smallest fraction, acknowledgement, maybe even respect, then turned back to her son and spoke low and urgent. I counted heartbeats. 1, 2, 3. Ethan broke away from her, strode toward the head table with the forced calm of a man trying not to sprint. When he reached us he bent to kiss Maya's cheek, the motion too quick, too theatrical. Hey, beautiful, he said, voice pitched for the surrounding tables. Mind if I steal your mom for a quick chat? Wedding present stuff. Maya's smile never wavered. Of course. Don't keep her long, I want my first dance soon. He offered me his arm. I took it. His bicep was rigid under the wool. We walked past the cake, past the ice sculptures already weeping in the heat of too many bodies, past the French doors that opened onto the hotel's terrace. He didn't speak until we were outside, the night air sharp with jasmine and distant traffic from the Lahore Ring Road. The terrace was empty except for a waiter collecting empty glasses. Ethan waited until the man disappeared inside. What the hell did you do? He asked, voice low and shaking. I turned to face him fully. Up close I could see the sweat beading along his hairline despite the February chill. I protected my daughter, I said simply. Protected her? A laugh burst out of him, jagged. You froze every goddamn account. Including mine. I can't even buy an Uber right now. Your accounts were never yours, Ethan. They were joint for exactly 48 hours. Long enough for the bank's fraud department to receive a rather detailed tip this evening. His jaw worked. You're bluffing. Check your email. The one you use for banking, not the cute Gmail you show Maya. There's a notice from the State Bank of Pakistan. Temporary administrative hold pending investigation of suspected financial coercion and money laundering. They're very thorough when a 73 million rupee trust is involved. He stared at me as though seeing me for the first time. You're insane. You'll ruin her wedding night. You'll ruin her. No, I said. You were going to do that. I'm just making sure she gets to keep the parts of her life that actually matter. He stepped closer. Not threatening, not yet, but close enough that I smelled the cedarwood cologne he'd over-applied that morning. You think she'll believe you over me? After everything we've built? She loves me, Helen. She chose me. She still loves you, I agreed. That's the worst part. She'll spend months wondering what she missed, replaying every sweet moment, trying to find the place where the lie started. And I'll be there picking up the pieces while you're explaining to Dubai immigration why your passport photo doesn't match the man who just tried to wire transfer $23 million out of a frozen account. His hands flexed at his sides. You have no proof. I have recordings. I let the word drop like a stone into still water. The service corridor behind the bridal suite has terrible soundproofing. Your mother should have checked. The color drained from his face so fast I thought he might faint. He actually staggered back one step. You taped us? I stood there and listened. My phone was recording the whole time. Audio only. Clear enough for any judge. He looked wildly toward the glass doors, as though he could see through the reflections to where his mother still waited. Then back to me. This is blackmail. No. This is consequences. I took one step toward him, closing the distance he'd created. You thought you could take my child's future, package it up with a prenup and some staged custody photos, and disappear. You forgot one thing, Ethan. I raised her. I taught her to be kind, not stupid. And I taught myself how to protect what's mine when the people who should be protecting her decide to eat her instead. He opened his mouth, closed it. Tried again. She'll hate you for this. Maybe for a while. My voice stayed steady even as something inside me cracked open. Maybe she'll scream at me, cry, tell me I ruined the best day of her life. But one day, when the shock wears off and she sees the bank statements, hears the playback, understands how close she came to waking up penniless with a child whose father vanished, she'll thank me. And if she doesn't, I shrugged, the smallest movement. I'll still sleep better knowing she's safe. A long silence stretched between us. Behind the glass, the band had started the first slow dance. Maya was still at the table, watching us through the window. Her face was calm, but her eyes were huge. Ethan followed my gaze. Something flickered across his expression, regret, maybe, or just the animal panic of a trap closing. What now? He asked finally. Now you go back inside, smile for the cameras, dance with my daughter one last time if she'll let you. Then you leave quietly before the police arrive. Because they will arrive, Ethan. I made the call 20 minutes ago. Financial Crimes Unit. They're polite. They'll wait until the cake is cut and the bouquet tossed. But they're coming. He laughed again, a hollow sound. You really hate me that much? I don't hate you, I said. I hate what you were willing to do to someone I love more than my own heartbeat. There's a difference. He stared at me a moment longer, then turned and walked back toward the doors. Halfway there he stopped, shoulders slumping. Tell her I'm sorry, he said without turning around. No, I answered. You'll tell her yourself. Or you won't. Either way, she'll hear the truth from me first. He disappeared inside. I stayed on the terrace until the cold worked its way through my silk shawl and into my bones. When I finally returned to the ballroom, Maya was on the dance floor with her father's old business partner, laughing as he tried to teach her the waltz he'd learned in the 90s. She caught my eye over his shoulder and gave me the tiniest nod. I crossed to Evelyn's table. She hadn't moved. Her wineglass was empty now, lipstick print stark against the rim. You win, she said when I stopped beside her. No one wins tonight, I told her. But my daughter isn't going to lose. She studied me with something close to curiosity. I underestimated you. Yes, I said. You did. I walked away before she could reply. The band finished the song. Maya excused herself and came straight to me, slipping her hand into mine. Mom? I looked down at her. Mascara still perfect. Eyes bright with something fiercer than tears. Tell me everything, she whispered. From the beginning. And then tell me what we do next. I squeezed her hand. We finish this wedding, I said. We cut the cake. We smile for the pictures. And tomorrow morning, when the sun comes up over Lahore, we start taking every single thing back that they tried to steal. She nodded once, sharp and sure. Then let's go cut the cake, she said. We walked to the center of the room together. The photographer called for the bride and her mother. Guests clapped. Phones lifted. Ethan stood near the bar, watching us, face blank. Maya picked up the silver server. I put my hand over hers. Together, I murmured. Together, she echoed. We pressed down. The first slice came away clean. And somewhere behind us, in the glittering wreckage of what should have been forever, two women began, quietly, ruthlessly, irrevocably, to rebuild. The cake slice sat between them like a fragile truce, white frosting smeared across the silver server, strawberry filling bleeding faintly red. Maya held the plate steady while the photographer snapped furiously, mother and daughter, heads bent close, smiles that looked real enough from 10 feet away. Flash. Flash. The room applauded on cue. Ethan hadn't moved from his spot near the bar. His phone was now face down on the polished wood, buzzing uselessly every few seconds like a trapped insect. Two of his groomsmen hovered nearby, sensing something off but not yet brave enough to ask. Evelyn remained at her table, spine straight, watching the scene with the detached interest of someone already calculating bail bonds. Maya set the plate down, turned to the crowd, and raised both hands in the universal signal for attention. Everyone? Her voice carried, clear, bright, the same tone she used in boardrooms when she needed to command a room without raising her volume. Thank you so much for being here tonight. I know it's late, and the bar is calling your names, but before we move to the first dance, I have something to say. A ripple of curious murmurs. Phones lifted again, this time from guests, not just the hired photographer. Maya glanced once at Ethan, long enough for him to feel it, then back to the sea of faces. Weddings are supposed to be about promises, she said. About trust. About building something together that lasts longer than the flowers or the cake or even the dress. She touched the lace at her wrist, the one I'd sewn onto her sleeve myself when she was too stressed to sleep 3 nights ago. Tonight I learned that some promises were never meant to be kept. Silence dropped like a curtain. Ethan pushed off the bar. Maya. She didn't look at him. No interruptions, please. This part isn't about you. He froze. Maya took a slow breath. A few minutes ago my mother told me something private. Something she heard while I was busy being the happy bride. She didn't have to tell me. She could have handled it quietly, protected me the way she always has. But she chose to trust me with the truth instead. She turned to me then, eyes shining but dry. Mom? I stepped forward. My heart was hammering so hard I could feel it in my teeth, but my voice came out calm. I overheard a conversation, I said. Between Ethan and his mother. They were discussing how to move 23 million rupees, my daughter's inheritance, the money her father and I saved our entire lives, into offshore accounts. They had a timeline. They had excuses already prepared. They had a prenup they thought would leave Maya with nothing but memories and a child they planned to use as leverage. Gasps. A few phones lowered. Others zoomed in. Ethan's face had gone gray. This is insane. She's lying. Maya lifted one hand. The audio is already with my lawyer and the financial crimes unit. They're downstairs now, actually. Waiting very politely until we finish this moment. Heads turned. Near the main doors, two men in plain dark suits stood with hotel security, unobtrusive, professional, the way Pakistani law enforcement moves when they don't want a scene but no one is inevitable. Maya continued, voice steady as steel wrapped in silk. I'm not going to drag this out. I'm not going to scream or cry in front of all of you. What I am going to do is this, I'm going to finish this wedding. Not because I'm pretending everything's fine. But because I refuse to let someone else's betrayal rewrite my entire day. She looked straight at Ethan for the first time since the terrace. You don't get to ruin this for me. You don't get to turn my happiest memory into your escape hatch. So here's what happens next. We're going to dance, one dance, the way we practiced. You will smile. You will behave. And when the song ends, you will leave. Quietly. With whatever dignity you have left. The police will speak to you outside. After that. I never want to see your face again. The room was so quiet I could hear the ice machine in the hallway. Ethan opened his mouth, closed it. Looked at his mother. Evelyn gave the smallest shake of her head, don't fight, don't make it worse. Maya turned back to the bandleader. The first dance, please. The opening notes of Perfect by Ed Sheeran floated out, ironic, cruel, beautiful. The same song they'd chosen 6 months ago when everything still felt like a fairy tale. Ethan walked to her like a man going to his own execution. He offered his hand. She took it. Not tenderly. Not reluctantly. With the calm precision of someone signing final papers. They moved to the center of the floor. Every eye in the room followed them. The first turn was stiff. His hand on her waist looked wrong now, like it belonged to a stranger. She kept her chin up, gaze fixed somewhere over his shoulder. No tears. No trembling. Just quiet, burning composure. Halfway through the song, she spoke, low enough that only he and I, standing close, could hear. I loved you, she said. Really loved you. And that makes this hurt more than anything you could have stolen. He flinched. Actually flinched. I'm sorry, he whispered. No, she said. You're sorry you got caught. The song ended on a soft, lingering chord. She stepped back. Dropped his hand. Curtsied, just a small, mocking dip of her head, then turned and walked straight to me. The room erupted in applause. Not polite wedding applause. Real, ragged, instinctive. Aunts wiped their eyes. Cousins stared at Ethan like he'd grown horns. The two detectives by the door stepped forward. Maya reached me, slipped her arm through mine. Mom? Yes, Beta? Let's go throw the bouquet. We walked past Ethan. He didn't move. His mother rose slowly, gathering her shawl like armor. At the edge of the dance floor, Maya paused, looked back at the crowd. One more thing, she called. The honeymoon suite is paid for through tomorrow noon. I won't be using it. So if anyone wants to take it, enjoy. Just change the sheets first. Laughter, shocked, relieved, real, rippled through the guests. Then she turned to the single women gathered near the band. Ready? She didn't wait for an answer. She threw the bouquet high, hard, over her shoulder. It sailed in a perfect arc. Her cousin Hina caught it one-handed, eyes wide. Maya smiled, small, real, tired but unbroken. Come on, Mom, she said. I want to get out of this dress before the police start asking questions. We walked toward the elevators together. Behind us, the detectives approached Ethan. One of them spoke quietly, hand on his elbow. Ethan didn't resist. The doors slid shut. In the sudden quiet of the lift, Maya leaned her head on my shoulder. I'm going to cry later, she whispered. I know. A lot. I'll be there. She lifted her head. Did I do okay? I touched her cheek. You did more than okay. You did exactly what needed doing. The elevator dinged at the presidential floor. She stepped out first, veil trailing like a ghost behind her. At the door to the suite she paused, key card in hand. Mom? Yes? Tomorrow, can we have breakfast? Just us? No phones. No lawyers. Just parathe and chai and figuring out what comes next. I smiled, throat too tight for words at first. Extra ghee on mine, I managed. She laughed, small, cracked, but alive. Deal. She opened the door. I followed her inside. And somewhere downstairs, in the glittering ruins of a wedding that never should have happened, a man and his mother learned that some thefts come with a price far higher than money. While upstairs, two women closed the door on yesterday and turned, quietly, toward tomorrow.